Hey guys, let's talk about my end of year most worn fragrances for 2022. Got rid of the comfy couch and now I'm kind of over here with my perfumes and such as we head into 2023. Definitely a theme with the fragrances I have here. Most of these are the freshies. Fits my personality. It's usually my fragrance choice for the majority of the situations that I'm in. I do want to wish everyone a happy new year. Depending on when I put this up, it will either be New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. And so I want to take a minute to wish everyone a happy and healthy 2023. It was definitely a banner year here for me on YouTube. And you know, it's not hard to do, and just the way that I've kind of treated my YouTube channel over the years. But like I said before, once I left Instagram, I really didn't know how things were gonna go. Didn't really think I would have much of a voice anymore in the fragrance community and in the candle community as well. And it turns out a lot of you still have an interest in what I have to say. So I appreciate that. And I've reconnected with a lot of people from my days on Instagram. And I've met a lot of nice new people too here on YouTube. So I really do appreciate that, the support, all the support that I've received. Thank you for a wonderful 2022 here on YouTube. And I say it like I've been here for a while. I haven't. I've been here for maybe 5-6 months at the most. So once I get a full year under my belt and we get this thing going, I really think we can create something special here on this channel. But yeah, let's talk about the 5 fragrances. Of course, I'm gonna add that 6th one that I wore the most this year. As far as my last video goes, in an effort to not make this video too redundant, I really just kind of went off of memory. Not everything was really broken down into an exact science of what I wore the most this year. Some of these were very, very obvious for me to remember, particularly a couple of them because I just wore them that much. But if there ever came down to a situation where I was kind of didn't really remember what I had worn the most over another fragrance or not, because I don't really keep track of them that closely. I don't write it down or anything each day that I wear them. I ended up going with a fragrance that was not in my last video, my best purchases for 2022, because I didn't want the videos to kind of overlap and feel like I was talking about all the same stuff. So there were a lot of fragrances that could have fit into this video, but I tried to fit it into my normal 6 that I like to do. And we're just gonna start off with a couple that I talked about in my last video, not go into too much detail with them. My best purchase for 2022 was also my most worn fragrance this year. And it's this one right here from Marc Antoine. It is Ganymede. And yeah, I do know when I show the bottles to you, it is in reverse. Sorry about that. I do have the iPhone mirror facing camera. So whenever I show you the stuff like this, just want to kind of give you an idea of the bottle. I will put the name of the fragrance on the screen for you because it's going to be difficult for some of you to read that backwards. But of course, this is Ganymede, and this was my #1 fragrance for the year. For all of 2022. This is actually my 2nd bottle of this stuff, and I've gone through quite a bit, almost half of it, about 60% of it remains. Like I mentioned in the last video, it is a leather suede based fragrance, has a lot of watery, ozonic mineral notes in this one as well. Now this one is very similar to Essential Parfums Bois Imperial. They were created by the same perfumer. That one leans a lot more woodsy, where this one has a lot more of the kind of suede, leathery mineral notes. Of course, the perfumer of both of those fragrances was Quentin Bisch. He is one of my absolute favorite perfumers currently. So it is no surprise that Ganymede is my #1 fragrance of the year and also my most worn fragrance for 2022. Get your hands on this stuff if what I mentioned about it sounds appealing to you at all. The next one we're going to talk about is this one right here from Casa. It is called Rouge, and Casa is known as a clone fragrance house. This one is a clone of Baccarat Rouge 540, the Eau de Parfum. And I had my video last year, which my most worn fragrances for 2021, and Al Haramain's Amber Oud Rouge, which is a Baccarat Rouge 540 extrait clone. That was also at the very top of my most worn fragrances for 2021, but this is a clone of Baccarat Rouge 540, the Eau de Parfum. A really nice alternative, very inexpensive. You can purchase this for under $30 US, and the bottle is very substantial, very sturdy, very well made, and to me looks very classy and kind of mimics the bottle in certain ways as far as the color schemes go. A little bit with Baccarat Rouge 540. That is number 2 on my most worn fragrances for 2022. And then we're gonna go with this one from Louis Vuitton. Could have easily been in my last video as far as best purchases this year. It's Imagination, and of course comes with the magnetic cap. Love everything about Louis Vuitton's presentation. And Louis Vuitton is a fragrance house that I mentioned in my last video was my number 1 fragrance house of the year. Even though I did kind of dive a little bit, kind of stuck my toes into the water a little bit with Louis Vuitton in 2021, really didn't dive deep into the waters until this year. Imagination is a tea-based fragrance, but a very nice citrusy green tea. Oh my goodness. This is one that gets compared to Chanel's Allure Homme Sport a little bit. Even occasionally will get compared to Guerlain's L'Homme Ideal cologne fragrance. It has that very similar kind of citrusy lemon in it. This one is a little bit more watery, a little bit more fresh, a tea fragrance here. To me, it's like the best version of a lemon citrus green tea. Something just so fresh about this one. Always a dumb reach for me, really, during the summer months, was one that I could not stop reaching for. That is Louis Vuitton's Imagination. And the next one is also from the fragrance house Louis Vuitton. Actually wore this one a little bit more than that one. It is L'Immensité. This is a fragrance that I loved layering this past summer. I would layer it with things like Parfums de Marly Percival, Bulgari's Tiger. It was just one of those fragrances that layered very well. To me, this is the ultimate mall store fragrance. And what I mean by that, it just has a very mass appealing, very easy to like, easy to wear fragrance feel to it. Something that you would probably smell permeating throughout a mall. That type of smell, whether it be an Abercrombie and Fitch store, Banana Republic, something like that. Just very easygoing. This one does have a good deal of ambroxan in it, so it has that very kind of citrusy ambroxan, mass appealing sweetness to it, while still at the same time having a little bit of a classiness to it about it as well. A lot of grapefruit in this one, ginger and grapefruit, watery notes as well, an ozonic feel to it almost, with a lot of that ambroxan here in this one. Giving it that kind of mass appealing mall store style fragrance. That is a good one, and one of my most worn for 2022. That is Louis Vuitton's L'Immensité. And the next one we're going to talk about is one I mentioned in my best buys for 2022 video. It's a clone fragrance. It's this one right here. It's our Moth Legacy. And of course, this is an inspired fragrance of Chanel's Platinum Egoiste. And it's a better version of that even too. It kind of gets rid, or at least tones down, that kind of dated herbal feel, that just a little bit of that dated herbal feel that Platinum Egoiste does have, just simply from being a fragrance of its time, late 90s. Chanel Platinum Egoiste. And Legacy kind of gets rid of that and even improves the performance. If there was one thing to complain about with Legacy, it is of course this bottle. There's just nothing I like about it. That kind of Zippo style lid for it really doesn't want to stay open at all times when you go to spray it and chop your finger off. But as far as the fragrance goes, top notch. One of my most worn fragrances this summer and this spring. Wore it more during the fall months this year, even as a layering fragrance with L'Immensité, as a matter of fact, quite a bit this past fall and summer. But yeah, probably a spring fragrance as a seasonal wearer like I am. But that is our Moth's Legacy as number 5 in this list. And to finish out the list for my most worn fragrances for 2022, this is a cheapie. It's from Sean John, not necessarily known as a fragrance house that is throwing out the most high quality of fragrances, but this one right here stole my heart this year. It is 3 AM. Now, everybody always compliments the sprayer on 3 AM. I'm not gonna spray it right now because I do have my ceiling fan going and really just kind of throw the fragrance everywhere and not really get a great look. But the sprayer nozzle on this one puts out one of the best sprays from any fragrance I can think of, any bottle that I own. And one of the best things I can say about a fragrance like this, about 3 AM, this is one that if it existed back when I was just starting out in fragrances, or at least just starting to wear them, I could have seen this one being a signature scent fragrance for me many years ago, back when, you know, I actually had signature fragrances, when I would wear something day after day after day. Could actually see this one being that for me. If you want something that honestly could be worn year around, all of these could really, to be honest. And I've actually worn a few of these here recently because I've just wanted to smell good, just wanted to kind of ease up on some of my heavier wearings. This is one of those that I would recommend to you. It's a fig-based fragrance, has a little bit of a greenness to it, a little bit of a citrus opening to it. Even think the note of gin is in this one, or juniper berries. It has that kind of style to it, that fresh, that kind of fig meets juniper berries, meets almost like a gin, alcoholic gin feel to it. So easy to wear, so wearable. Does not surprise me at all that it made this list as my most worn fragrances for the year. That is Sean John's 3 AM. And there you have it, guys, recapping 2022. As far as personal fragrance goes, I thought about doing a candle version of this style of video, but ultimately decided against it because I was really only burning candles from fall until now, as far as fall releases go until now. Maybe after a full year of burning candles, maybe I could probably do something along the lines of what I did in my last video as far as personal fragrance goes. But I like to kind of do these videos, if for nothing else, for myself, to just kind of recap things and remind myself of the year, because all of these fragrances are going to remind me of 2022. And for somebody who owns their fair share of this kind of stuff, to actually have a handful of fragrances that I can say remind me of a specific time in my life, yeah, that means a lot to me. So we're wrapping up the year with one of my favorite videos to film. I don't know when this is gonna get put out. I'm gonna either put it out today, which is New Year's Eve, or tomorrow on New Year's Day. To those of you that are watching, thank you for your support. Thank you for making this my best year here on YouTube. I really honestly can't express how much that has meant to me. So thank you. I appreciate it very, very much. The next videos I'll have to open up 2023 will be my candle empties for the month of December, probably my wax empties as well. And then we'll really start to dive into more personal fragrance videos as we head into January and into the spring months. So I appreciate you guys watching. I'll talk to you soon.